What's up, VC? It's Christmas timeage. What's up? It's weird because I was in on the West Coast for pretty much most of October, and being there didn't feel like Halloween as much as being over here in Texas. I don't know why that is. Well, they decorate the shit out of the area over here, so the neighborhood goes off. So maybe that's why it didn't feel so. Even though I gave out some candy on Halloween night, all that good stuff, but I feel like I skipped Halloween Texas time, and doesn't really feel like, even though there's Christmas lights out, it just doesn't feel like Christmas. So I'll bump it up. So anyways, the topic at hand, which usually my brain is like 50 different ones all at the same time, but I figured let's get into the Nirvanas. Nirvanas is my new way of saying the band's name, which I think 45 RPM audio file copyrighted. But so they came out with their 30th anniversary. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool because it came with a 7-inch, came with a gatefold. If you didn't have one yet, that's the one to get. Just in my opinion, probably not the sound's a preference. Some people I think are gonna like the sound of that one better than the Bernie Grumman. But it just depends. No one's right or wrong. Which we found out from the debate yesterday, that I think the End Zone is probably gonna win the primaries in the VC. But you found out, if anybody watches the debate between Michael Fremer and Mike from the In Groove, they agreed on a lot of things and they disagreed on a lot of stuff. But that's how it is, and it's awesome that they at least got on camera and went and duked it out, because we don't want no divide in the VC. And so, whatever. I thought, I think the reason Michael Fremer wanted to make a video in the first place is because he did admit that you can't probably play them a crap load of times, but they do sound really good for the times you do get to play them. And who knows what the amount of time is. And he kind of made a good point. We know some of the tapes that you're buying, these reel-to-reels, how good are they going to sound 20 years from now if you played them a crap load of times? Apparently they know that because they've had reel-to-reels for a while now. But just pointing out, everything's a gamble. I think the good point that Chad from Acoustic Sounds made was, it's a good opportunity for someone to be able to hear a lacquer. Still out of my budget, but if for some reason that's affordable for you, and you wanna, hey, my dog, hey, hold on. We all know how she goes up. Hey, there's no squirrel there. Hey, I'm just gonna let her out. Okay. I think that having the opportunity of getting the lacquer, if you have the funds, is interesting. If you're a hardcore nerd about sound and you've never had a lacquer, a record pressed on lacquer, who knows? I think it is a good opportunity to maybe get your hands on one. Still way too expensive for me, not on my budget, but for some people it's not. So either way, I think it was interesting. I think it could have been shrunken down to maybe a 45-minute thing instead of how long it went for, but Chad started going in sell mode pretty quick. But overall, go check it out. It's posted on all 3 of their channels. So, kind of went off topic there. The Nirvanas, they came out with the 30th anniversary of Nevermind. Sounds really good in my opinion. Just depends what you like. But I haven't heard too many people talk about this album, Nirvana's Live and Loud. This came out in 2019. I was stoked about this because, let me bring this back just a little bit so I'm not trying to over talk it. As most of you could probably remember who are my age group and who were MTV crew, this was the live Nirvana that was on MTV, and originally it was going to be Pearl Jam and Nirvana, and I think they had already kind of started to promote it that way. I possibly remember, or I could be inventing this memory just because I want to, but I almost remember MTV saying at first Pearl Jam and Nirvana, and then all of a sudden it was just Nirvana. And there were for some reason Pearl Jam couldn't do it that night, and that's why Nirvana ended up playing an extra long set to make up for the time that they were supposed to use the place anyways. So, and they just had, they had the availability. And they said what's really cool when you hear the people that did the show that night. I watched some of the interviews of the people that put this thing on, and they said Kurt Cobain was super easy to work with. He said, hey, because Pearl Jam can't do this, do you need us to play longer? And they said, if you will, that'd be awesome, which they did. They play 17 songs. It's pretty good. You know what I mean? And so, but they promoted the crap out of this on MTV, and back in the days, before the internet, at least the public didn't have the internet yet, and they were promoting this live concert, and like I said, before the internet, you couldn't see live stuff unless you went to the show, so to have the opportunity to see Nirvana play live in concert, a full show, I was super excited. Around this time, they did a Green Day live show in Chicago. I think it was before this, right? I remember I taped it. I had my VCR, my parents' VCR, got a blank tape from the grocery store, and taped both those. And I taped this show, and it was super stoked just to be able to have Nirvana on a VHS you could rewatch over and over again. I played the crap out of this, and I always kind of wondered, because it was such a good show, were they ever going to release this? When they finally did, I was super stoked about this. Like, hell yeah, this is one of their favorite performances, in my opinion. And it's a gatefold. Really cool pictures from the performance. And, it's kind of, I want to say probably one of their last shows recorded really well. That was recorded good. And, the songs it's got radio-friendly unit shifter, Drain You, Breed, Serve the Servants, Rate Me, right out of the gate. Kind of, they usually keep Drain You till a little bit later, seems like, but all the other ones, like Serve the Servants and Rate Me, and that's 3 songs off the new album right away, because In Utero just came out. Then you have Silver, Pennyroyal Tea, Scentless Apprentice. I love that name, Scentless Apprentice. And the name behind... There's an interview on YouTube where it's like one of the last interviews Kurt Cobain did with some lady on this balcony of it seemed like they're in Seattle at some hotel or somewhere. Or maybe they're in Europe. Somewhere in Europe. I really don't know where they're at. But it's a short, cool interview. It's a short interview. And she asked him, do you, is there any books you're reading right now? Or, do you get lyrics from books? And he's like, he said the book that he'd been reading a lot was this book called Perfume. I can't remember the author's name, but he said he had read it 10 times already. And it's just one when he's on the plane, he'd read a lot. Basically, the premise is this guy just didn't like to be around people and kind of like to be isolated, and because the people smelled funny. I don't know. I haven't read the novel, but Kurt Cobain got the idea from that book to write the song Scentless Apprentice. And really good song, but man, killer song title. Anyways, All Apologies, Heart-Shaped Box. They play a lot of the, In Utero. Blue from the first album, The Man Who Sold the World, which is cool because I'm pretty sure this is, I don't know if it's the only recording, but I feel like if whatever their next album is going to be, they were going to have that album, that song, because they did it on Unplugged, they did it here with the whole band, and both versions sound really good. The Unplugged version obviously is like the historic, really well-known version, but this one is really good. And School, Come As You Are, Lithium, and then About a Girl, and that does have Endless Nameless on here, which I didn't even realize when I was saying, I don't have it on vinyl. Well, it turns out I did have it on vinyl, so maybe I need to listen to my stuff a little more better. But I was really stoked to get this. And who is it mastered by? Bob Ludwig. So, Nirvana, mastered by Bob Ludwig. One of their last performances. Killer recording job. Had 2 guitar players. They had, Pat Smear. So the song just sound full. Which, the first Nirvana album had 2 guitars. So, anyways. Super. I highly recommend getting this. If you already have it, throw a comment. Tell me what you feel about it. What you thought was good about it. Or not good, maybe. But yeah, again, there's so much. I feel like we should just do a Nirvana series. You know what I mean? Because people my age were into Nirvana when he was alive. And I'll tell one more cool story. Well, it was cool to me at least. the person who did this logo for our band, he's a singer in a band called Kinetic Discord. He was also in Jean-Benet Stranglehold and Me Versus Everybody. Really killer singer, frontman, very talented artist, really good artist. He was in the Smells Like Teen Spirit video. It's one of those things to where he was at like a record store. I could be getting some of the story wrong about how he got in the video shoot, but it was one of those things where they had Nirvana with the flyer. Do you want to be in this band's video? You know, be at this place at this, you know, be at Universal Studios at this place and this time, you know, and I'm pretty sure that's where it was shot. And he, you know, he's one of the people in the crowd, you know, moving around. And he said Chris Novoselic and, you know, Dave Grohl were there a lot during the shoot. He said Kurt Cobain only came in like a handful of times as far, you know what I mean? So he wasn't hanging out too much as the other two were. But super rad that he got to be that's like literally a part of rock and roll history, and this person I know is a part of it. It's super cool. So anyways, and then one more other story. You guys are like, oh gosh. When I was a kid, the lead up to his suicide was kind of like, now I know people were like, maybe he might have got murdered. Who knows? But his band members think he, you know, did it. But either way, it's just as sad. But he had overdosed, and so like there was like rumors already on the news that he had killed himself a few weeks before this had really happened. So my stepdad, I remember, was picked me up from Santa Cruz and was like, oh, you know, Kurt Cobain supposedly killed himself. So I'm like devastated, and then it turns out it was wrong. Relieved, right? But a lot of people heard this. So when it did happen, it was like, and it was on the MTV News, and they are showing the clips of the room where it happened. You can see part of his leg. It was like, you got to realize, for our generation, that was like losing our John. I know that people that, you know, musically, if you want to compare him to John Lennon, but as far as his, you know, for our age group, man, that was like just devastating, super gnarly. So I didn't go to school for like a whole week, and I got to give props to my mom. You know what I mean? My mom and dad were in a band, had a recording studio at our house when I was a kid, and when I was a baby, and until I was about 2 or 3, and then there was still there for a while, but it wasn't being used, and then everything got taken out of there. But I did ditch school for a whole week, for a whole 5 days, and just, you know what I mean, it was like, damn. But so my dad was chilling with me a lot, and he was like, it's my dad, who's way cool. He was homeless for a while, and this is for quite a while, for a decade, and this is after he came back from the streets, pretty soon after he came back from the streets. I'm going to say like 2 years. And he was really big into Elvis, and he was like, you know, he really didn't understand the obsession with Nirvana because he was, you know, because of his age, but he respected it. But he asked me this one question. He was like, out of a lot of questions he asked me, but he's like, do you think 10 years, and so this is like in 94, so this is actually, yeah, he had been back for a couple years now, and he's like, do you think Kurt Cobain, Nirvana will be remembered 10 years from now? And my little kid brain, without even hesitating, was like, oh, yes, definitely. You know what I mean? And he's like, what makes you think that? And I just like, their sound, you know what I mean? Just the lyrics are you can connect, you know, the lyrics are really great. I mean, it's just Nirvana. Like, there's, you know, he was like kind of, you know, are they going to be, the way, is this just their short time right now? And in like our 10 years, are they really going to be still remembered as much as they were at the time of his death? And I was like, yes. Well, God, my dad has a great memory, because years later, over 10 years later, sometime, there was an article. This is now, mind you, this is in 94, so I was like, you know, a teenager at the time. I was 13. And so, fast forward to like 25, 26. So a little after, you know, 10 years later, my dad read this article that Nirvana had outsold Elvis, as far as like being passed away. And then see, I mean, Elvis had been gone for a while now, and so just in that 10 years or whatever, 10 or 12 years, Nirvana had sold a shit ton of records still. And my dad actually when I was a kid, we made $100 bet. So my dad was like, you know what I mean? Fuck, I owe you $100. You know what I mean? You were right. They are still selling a shit ton of records 10 years later. And what's crazy now to see, 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later, 25 since his death, what was it, 94? Yeah. So, it's like 26 years later when there's still new generations connecting with them big time. It's like, I mean, there's kids with the incesticide shirts. I mean, there's with the Nirvana stuff. It's just, and I watched an interview with Dave Grohl where he was saying he'll be walking down the street, he'll be in a store, and there's a kid wearing a Nirvana shirt. Little do they know they're right by they probably don't even realize, or maybe they do, that the drummer from Nirvana is right next to him or behind him. So it's now it's just like Dave Grohl said, it's growing into something even bigger than what they had, than what them just to sing these three friends just started, So he was like, it's kind of like a machine now that's never going to stop. So that's awesome. I mean, super sad, obviously, that Kurt Cobain's not here anymore. And now, let's use our imagination for a minute. Now, I've gone way too long here, and if you're still sticking around, thank you. Some of these rants kind of turn into like more of a little podcast action here. But I mean, if he was still here, man, I feel like he probably would have put out some solo records. They would have been fucking epic. You know what I mean? Nirvana would have put out some more stuff. You would have been able to see him live, maybe do some, reunion tour or whatnot, or just, who knows? Maybe they would have never broke up. They just would have took breaks from music and come back and play. Maybe he would have gotten to producing. Look what Dave Grohl did. You know what I mean? Sitting in and then so if Dave Grohl still had that, would there have been Foo Fighters? You know what I mean? I think there still would have been. I think Dave Grohl, what would have happened, I feel like, it's just my opinion, I think Kurt Cobain would have done some solo albums in his off time when the band's taking the break, home studio wise, and then Dave Grohl would have done the same. That would have ended up being Foo Fighters. You know what I mean? So, and then who knows? Foo Fighters sometimes Kurt Cobain. That fucking would have been badass. You know what I mean? So who knows? Maybe he would have had more kids. Either with Courtney Love, or who knows? Remarried to some other famous actress model and had a handful of other kids that would be like social media stars. That would be like the Kardashians versus the Cobains. Oh man. Either way, who knows? It's always fun to use our imagination and wonder. And my dog is, I wonder what my dog's up to now. She's bird watching. Come on. Did you get some scroll time in? Come on. The vinyl community's starting to get used to you now. Okay, they're commenting more on you than they're like, you ginger mug, we could definitely, maybe just put whatever you want to put over that. But the dog, she's beautiful. You know what I mean? Come on. I agree. Come on. I call her Poopy. That's her nickname. Because when we take her on walks, she's always pooping. All right, come on. Huh? She's like, really? That's a little TMI. You don't get my private information like that. What's up, anybody else got? I know some people in the VC have animals, so it's cool. I see some dogs in the background of their videos also. And so anyways, I'm just hanging out with you guys, drinking my coffee. It's weird that technology has, which I'm thankful for. I'm talking into my phone like a maniac right now, but in my head, I got the VC hanging out with me. All right, so that was a whole side of the album. That was it. Earwax music I got a while back. Love that record. It was just I'd never heard of it before. It was a used record, popped it in their little player. It sounded great. Swooped it up. Stoked. This is my second cup of coffee. Gonna go on a bike ride, come back, work on some songs, and then No shows tonight. Female cardinal on the bird feeder. Now the female cardinals are not red. Got a very orange beak though. Really, you love the birds. She's trying to hit on that. That's not a squirrel. No, that's not a squirrel. Come here. All right, we gotta go because she's gonna. It's a countdown to freak out, and I don't. It's a bird. She looks a little confused now. Now, you're probably, this awesome hat, but you're definitely not thinking about Target. Every year has them on sale for super cheap right after winter's about ready to close up. So go get yourself one in a little while, or go get yourself one now. I haven't been in there. Maybe it's a good reason to go in there and see if they got a refill and see what vinyl they got in Target, because Target actually had a bigger record spot than Walmart. Then one day I go in there and they shrunk the fucking vinyl display to like a few, like 4 cubes or something, like just a small little spot. So that kind of sucks. That's what I kind of liked about Target, because they had a bigger vinyl display. Then I went to Walmart. Walmart fucking stepped up their game on their vinyl display. So I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Target had a way better DVD Blu-ray area too, and which I don't really get too many of those anymore. I used to go to the pawn shops and get a lot of those, which like was really fun to do a few years back. But a lot of pawn shops, they have nobody gives a fuck about DVDs because of streaming now. But there's still some stuff that's I'd love to have on DVD. So, anyways, now we've gone all over the place. This was going to be a 5-minute episode. It's turned into now a 20-minute. This is as long as the Three's Company 2 episode. Three's Company. My sister and I were just talking about that show. My sisters love that show, and since they had command over the remote control, I was screwed. And I did enjoy watching Three's Company though. Bosom Buddies, that was a show I remember watching back in the day too. That was a good one. And Tom Hanks. Anybody else remember Bosom Buddies? So anyways, okay, I gotta go on this bike ride. I can ramble on forever. This is so bad. Not really. It's right for days. Gosh, there's so much stuff going on musically. I don't even care about the other stuff. Just musically, there's so much amazing stuff going on. And I find most things interesting that are complex. So, but I don't like to get all worked up. I love to get worked up over music. That's pretty much. So that's why seeing the debate between two, it was kind of almost like a Spinal Tap. If you wanted to, you could totally do a spoof video, because like these are two guys that are their stereo systems are, I don't really know the prices of them, but definitely expensive. You know what I mean? I was looking at, did anybody else get the Music Direct? I've never got one of these. For some reason somehow I got it. I guess they were trying to get me to buy stuff. Looking at some of these music equipment in here, it's like, gosh, damn, like 7,000, 9,000 for like a tuner. And I get it. I know there's just stuff that goes way up more than that, but and that's awesome. It's just funny. It's funny to see these two guys, like, realistically, there's probably more interesting things to debate about in the music realm, but I think just like, we already seen them try to fucking redo the whole damn debate again, but we already, I think what's Mike from the Ingroove's point was, for this amount of money, who knows how long it's going to play, and I think that was good advice, It's funny though, to where obviously, like, they were talking about how, one didn't get the records, and so maybe he's biased because of certain things, and so, but it's just funny to see how things, there's still even a little bit of drama even in this realm of people that obviously they kind of know each other. Now, since now I'm just fucking rambling on forever, I'm gonna end on this one. You guys are like, sure, Ty. You said that 5 times ago. Was the whole thing staged in the first place just to get more views, just so both their channels got more talk about, and then Chad got to do more sales pitch? I mean, did we just get played right now? I mean, possibility. So anyways, leave it on that one. Stay positive, play lots of vinyl, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.